They made this film, and this is hypothetical, by the way, mind you, hypothetical. If the Joker went after Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne was like this Donald Trump type person, people would praise this film. They would be like, this is the greatest fucking political message film I have ever seen. And I love how Kevin Smith, I'm going to go after Kevin Smith later on in the show, but anyway, they would have made like a huge political thing. You would have had Kevin Smith being like praising this film. You would have had Alec Baldwin like, going crazy over this film. And I'm glad Alec Baldwin wasn't in the film, because he would have fucking wasted that film. If they made it that way, it would have been. But this film is the opposite. They don't talk about politics. I mean, people can't find politics in the meaning of the film if they want to. This film is more of a social commentary. This film is talking about what's going on in the world, especially in the inner cities. I mean, you look at Baltimore, which nobody really talked about Baltimore. I mean, Donald Trump did. But if you look at photos of Baltimore, or you look at photos of Detroit, South St. Louis, Chicago, any city of America, especially California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, if you look at those areas, they have sort of resembled what this film in Joker shows Gotham. It's very dark. It's very bleak. There's no life. The city has been completely sucked of everything. I mean, if you go to Gary, Indiana, I had to look up several places to show you how this film shows how the city looks and how it looks. I'm going to read you some things about Gary, Indiana. It's one place I will never go to, because if you want to go there, you're going to get killed. You're going to get robbed, killed, everything. Alright. So I had to look it up real quick. I added it on there. So, here's a discussion about Gary, Indiana. One person wrote, it's the Detroit in Indiana. Basically, that's this. Here's what one person wrote. Yep, just think, Detroit in Indiana. And you got it, except with more stabbings. Plus, even driving down the highway of Gary, Indiana, the place smells god-awful. I'm looking at more places where people talked about. I know there was one person wrote a comment about, I know it's not funny though, but when you live outside of St. Louis, you kind of have to laugh at it. But at the same time, you kind of don't want to, because it's really sad, because it's like, one person wrote, I lived in Gary, Indiana, and I still do. Oh yeah, Gary is scary, but only people that have no idea of what common sense is. Every city has its good and good and evil. Gary is just like the rest. The city still has some good people in it, like me. And the Steel City Storm Crew, don't know who they are, fighting on the day by day to help the city and stuff. I used to drive truck, and I remember when we stopped at Gary at night. A big black dude would request $10 to watch your truck. He had a shotgun in his pickup truck and looked rough around the edges. Best $10 I ever spent. It's pretty crazy. One person wrote, I see you're Gary, Indiana, and raised you East St. Louis. There are some great people and interesting things there, but God help you if you stumble down the wrong block in the city. I seen a guy get his head blown off for a bicycle he was riding. It's not a place I would go unless there are solid reasons, and it helps to know some people. That is fucking true. I've been to East St. Louis, and I thank God I made it out of there alive. Because it is fucking crazy. I one time went to the city with my uncle. I don't know why. But we went. I mean, the cool highlight of it was we found a McDonald's on a boat, which was really cool. And I remember it was like the weirdest thing. I'm not going to sound racist. I know some people will say it's racist to say that. But we're white. We're white people. And we went to East St. Louis, and there was a lot of people staring at us. A lot of black people staring at us like, what are you doing in this part of the city? I'll be careful going there. And it was like I wouldn't say unsettling, but it was very scary. And I remember my uncle said to me, roll up your windows and lock the doors. And we did that. And we got the fuck out of there. It was like the scariest shit I have ever been to. And it was back then when I was a kid. And it was like, I remember because, we had Bush Memorial Stadium and they tore it down, which really saddened me. Then it became Bush Stadium. And I went to the new stadium once, and it was really cool. So it was scary. It was like, it's a place I will never go to. And I'd never want to go to East St. Louis, or definitely not South St. Louis, because a lot of people get shot there. But there's always a good and a bad in cities. And it gets to a point where the people in the city, the community leaders, don't want to do anything. They want to leave the whole area rotted to the core. And for prime example, I'm going to use this as an example, and I'm going to lay off of it for a while. After the Michael Brown incident, there was a lot of career politicians showing up there going like, if you vote for me to represent this community, I will make sure nothing ever happens like that again. And guess what happened? They got elected and boom, went the fuck out of the town and never came back until re-election. So there's always that. But when it comes to communities and cities and areas, there needs to be a wake-up call. There needs to be a lot of things done. Now, am I afraid that there's going to be a possible, Joker-inspired thing. No. I mean, they tried to do the same thing with the guy who shot the Aurora, who did the Aurora shooting. People said he did it because he was inspired by Joker. The guy said in an interview, "I never liked the Joker, and I don't like Batman. The only reason he dyed his hair red was because his friend dyed his hair blue." You can't blame comic book movies. People did this back in the day, like Columbine. They tried to blame South Park, Marilyn Manson, video games, movies, everything. Did video games do it? No. They did a study over and over and over again that showing there is no connection between video games and violence. There certainly was no violence connected between Marilyn Manson and crazy violence. There is none. No connection whatsoever. I mean, they tried to blame Marilyn Manson for the Columbine shootings. The kids who did the shootings did not like Marilyn Manson music. They never listened to it. The only reason they did that was because they were fucking psychopaths. Basically, straight up. And South Park never did anything. I love South Park. South Park's a national treasure. So, you can't blame video games. You can't blame comics. I am so tired of people trying to turn it back to like 1940s, where that crazy ass dude wrote a book about how comic books are going to inspire adolescent violence. It was fucking stupid. You can't blame movies. You can't blame video games. You can't blame anything. People's behavior is the reason of their environment. How they were raised. How they were, treated. It's natural human behavior between other human beings is what causes this. Joker movie, the Joker, I don't know why they call it Joker, but the Joker movie is showing what is going on in our society and our community and everything of it. How adequate mental health treatment is being cut to the bone. How communities, societies have become. It's basically, if you look at the media, I'm going to point this out. If you look at the news media, they have done more dividing things than ever uniting. It's always us versus them. It's us against him. I mean, it's always that way. It always will be that way, unfortunately. Unless we do a wake-up call and just change everything around us. So, that's kind of my coverage of the opening of the show about Joker. Now let's talk about Batwoman. That's some shit that cannot be unseen. I finally got to watch the Batwoman pilot last night. And let me tell you, it is really bad. It is just 7 kinds of not so awesome. And it's kind of funny though. I gotta talk about this one real quick. Has anybody ever heard of a YouTuber called Kid Behind the Camera? Or Kid Behind a Camera or whatever? Michael Green. I found out I got blocked by him on Twitter. I don't even know who the fuck he is. Oh, shit. He's the son of Angry Grandpa. I love the Angry Grandpa show. That's weird. It's weird though. I never tweeted at him, so I don't know what's up. It's kind of weird though.